Hey, what's up, guys? The Gangster Jeweler here. So today we're going to be working on a hollow chain that comes to us from a customer of ours. And this is going to be a little bit different, a little bit tricky, mainly because this is a rosary that the cross has not has come off at the bottom here. And we got this cross to put on it. But they don't want the bell. We're going to detach the bell and we're going to attach the cross to the bottom of the chain. Now, one thing we have to be careful of is on this rosary, these balls are hollow. They're not solid. So you put too much heat to these, they will melt. They'll disappear faster than, probably disappear faster than your girlfriend. Anyways, but that's what we're working on today, is we're trying to, okay, let me see if I can zoom in here. But that's what we're going to be working on. We're going to have to take this bell off, and then we're going to attach to the bottom here, like this. But that is what we're going to be trying to do today. So, sorry, I got to do some adjusting here. So let's go ahead and, we need to go ahead and cut this bell off. What we're going to do is we're going to cut it right here at the bottom. We don't want to cut it at the top. We're not trying to mess the bell up. Cut it at the bottom, this way it can be reused, or it might be scrap, who knows. But we are going to grab our cutters here. My cutters have lost their there we go. And then we're just going to snip right at the bottom. Like that. Then we can open the bell up a little bit. Slide our cross right out. And then since that's cut at the bottom, we can reuse that, or it can be reused at a later time or date. So let's go ahead and put that back. And now we're going to zoom out here for just a second. And now, like I said, we got to be very careful because these hollow balls will go disappearing on us real quick. So we're going to go ahead and get this set up here best we can. Set that up like right. Now see, if I was to lay this flat, it would, if I was to lay this on a flat surface, they would not meet because the ball sticks up higher than the cross does. So I've actually got a little dip right here in my tile that drops it down so that it actually meets a level with the cross. And I use that little dip there mainly for these type of repairs, where if you set them on flat surfaces, they're not going to line up. But in this particular case, we lined up pretty well. But I just wanted to show you guys that. I still got to do a little adjusting here. but nothing too crazy. And you want to make sure it lines up, because if you don't get it on right in the middle, there's a good chance when it hangs it just don't quite hang right. So you want to make sure you get it just right. And the other thing is, another thing to remember too, is you want to make sure you're putting the face of the cross, make sure the face of the cross is also facing the same way as the rosary. So you don't want to put the rosary like that and then the cross backwards like that. You need the cross to face the same as the rosary. Alright, so that's what we're doing. Alright, back to readjusting this thing. I just wanted to point that out because that's very important. You don't want to put it on backwards. Not that it is a big deal. If you put it on backwards, you can always take it back off, put it back on the other way, but why create more work for yourself if you ain't got to? Now this thing, now for whatever reason, okay, here we go. I think we might. Trying to get it set up to where it's lined up, but also to where it's not, I'm not going to put quite as much heat on the ball so the ball doesn't melt, because the ball is hollow and it's very easy to melt one of them suckers. So you got to be very careful. Hold on. Now I know why it's not lining up. This top of this cross is a little bent. See that? See how that's a little out of whack there? There we go. See, now it's straight. This is a pretty thin piece, so it'd be pretty easy to bend. We didn't bend it. It was just bent. But that can happen with these small pieces like that. There we go. That might line up a little better now. I didn't even realize that was bent like that. Did not realize it. Yeah, I don't like the way that's sitting. Just do not like the way that is sitting there. Tell you what we're gonna have to do. I hate to do it, but it's the only way it's gonna work. Is we gotta bend it a little bit further forward, like that. There we go. I like that a lot better. Yeah, I just didn't like where that was sitting at. Just did not look good at all. Alright, I think we got it set up, guys. So let me zoom in here. You can see we got it right at the end of the ball there. And this is going to be a tricky weld. This is going to be tricky. There's no doubt. We got to get enough heat to get the solder to flow, but not enough to melt the ball. I've done many of these before, but you know, you're always cautious. Always careful. So let's zoom out for a second. And let's get our torch going here. Let's go ahead and flip our tip. I think I'm going to probably going to use a 4 tip, I think. Yeah, I think we'll use a 4. I think that's what we will use, is a 4 here. And if we melt the ball, you'll get to see it here live. But I don't think that's going to be the case, but you never know. You know, and make for good YouTube content, huh? Burning up somebody's necklace. No, we're not doing that. Nope. Definitely not going to do that. Alright, let's go ahead and cut us some solder here. Cut some solder. We need to get some boric acid denatured alcohol going here. You guys know the drill. Put a little bit on there. Right, we're going to heat that up just a little bit, burn some of that stuff off. Then we got to put a little bit of flux on there. Now this is something I kind of hate, is having to put fire to crosses and Jesus charms. I really hate doing that. I mean, I have to do it, but I think God understands, hopefully. He might be bitching at me right now. I don't know. But I might go to hell for this, maybe. All the crosses over the years I've put fire to. I hate to say that, but I'm gonna have to reset this stupid thing. Alrighty. Got our flux on there, but our piece moved on us, so we need to readjust here. Oh boy, it's gonna be a toughie. A little bit of a toughie. Alright guys, let's hope and pray here. Let's see how this is gonna work out. I got you guys zoomed in. Are we gonna melt this ball live? Who knows? Let's go ahead and grab our solder. And let's get to welding. I'm going to heat this up and let that flux burn off a little bit. I'll let that flux burn off a little bit. Okay. Now, I think, hold on, I'm about to zoom you guys back out. We need to readjust this thing again. It's moving around on us a little bit, bouncing around. Alright, I think we're good. Let me get you guys zoomed back in here. And let's go for it. Let's do it. No, not gonna do it that way. Dropping solder already. Let's grab our solder here. And I'm using hard solder. You could use easy, but like I said, I use hard on everything. Once you get pretty good, you can use hard on everything. You do prongs. I use hard solder on everything. It's just better to use hard solder. Using easy and medium, it just doesn't hold up as long. You can do it, but it just isn't gonna hold up quite as long for you. Trying to, come on, baby. Come on, baby. Alright, we gotta crank our torch up just a little bit here. Just a tiny little bit. Oh, I don't like that. It's a little too sharp. I'm being a little extra careful just because we're dealing with a hollow piece here. So you don't want to go into it with too much flame. It's always better to go into it with a little less flame and crank it up a little more if you have to. It's too much. Let's bring it down a notch. You can see we got our solder right there, and we're just trying to, I just don't like, why is my torch doing that? I think it's because I'm having to go at this from a side angle. I can't go at it from right on top. If I do that, you're going to melt the ball for sure. So I'm having to try to come at it at a weird angle. Boy, come on, baby. Yeah, you can see that solder ball there. We're just trying to, we just need it to flow is all we need. Come on, baby. Well, she flowed, but not quite how I wanted her to flow. I'm gonna have to stick another piece on there. let's grab us another solder piece here. Let's get ourselves our solder. And we got to go at this again. The solder didn't quite flow where I wanted it to, which is fine. That happens occasionally. Sorry guys, trying to keep you guys in focus here. You can see I got my solder ball on there. And we are just trying to get her to flow where we want her to go. Come on, baby. No, you piece of shit. Alright, it's attached on there, but it's not attached to my liking, really. That's not a very solid piece. So, what we need to do is we need to hit it with some more solder. Like I said, I'm being very extra careful, mainly because of these hollow balls. That don't sound right, but hollow balls that we're working next to here. And I think this should be, hopefully, the last solder we'll have to do, hopefully. But we're just being very easy. You can see that ball of solder there. We just need it to go. Come on, note down. Now you see how that's trying to go upward? So we're going to put heat a little further down because solder will follow the heat. And that's just something you have to learn with time. There we go. She's on there now. All right. Let's zoom back out for a second. And let's cool this thing off and see what it looks like. Let me zoom you guys in here. So it looks like we are attached. Yes, we are. We are soldered on there. Now this ball already had a hole, was kind of crushed. Now the reason we're not going to fill that hole, there's two reasons. One, the hole was already there, so we didn't have to make a hole. Two, on these hollow pieces like this, so this is a hollow ball, you always want to have a hole somewhere for the heat to escape. That helps keep it from melting. Now if this didn't already have a hole, we would have made a hole in it somewhere. But this already had a hole. We're not going to try to close that off, because if we try to close that off, this ball will melt. You got to have a hole somewhere to let the heat kind of escape a little bit. Otherwise, it will disappear on you. It'll melt. But we got it on there. It's nice and solid. Looks a little ugly right now. We still got to clean it, but it's definitely a lot better. But I just wanted to mention that hole right there, we don't want to close that off. We don't even want to try to fill that in, because if we try to fill that in, the heat won't have nowhere to escape, and then this ball will it'll melt. It'll disappear quicker than your girlfriend. So, but you can see we got it on there. It's nice and solid. And unfortunately, I mean, I know it's got that hole, but we're going to have to leave it, because otherwise, like I said, it will melt if we try to fill that in. You got to have, on these hollow pieces, you got to have a hole somewhere to let the heat escape so that this won't melt. But let's go ahead and, I think, let's see how straight this is. It's pretty straight, yeah. Looks pretty darn straight. Then the next thing we need to do is, yeah, that's pretty darn straight. And you can see we got the front facing the right direction. See, we don't have it all backwards or anything. But now let's go ahead and see if we can clean this up just a tiny little bit. I gotta switch wheels real quick here. We're gonna have to dip it in ultrasound, and then we're gonna have to do some, probably gonna do some polishing here at the bench. I'm really not on fine necklaces like that. You really don't want to be sticking them to the buffer, because you're gonna be breaking them for sure. But let's go ahead and get to work on cleaning this. Yeah, that worked out real well. I'm happy with that. Only thing I wish is we could fill that hole, but you know, we just can't without the whole thing collapsing or disappearing on us. So it is what it is. And it was that way anyways, you know, but we would, if the hole wasn't there, like I said, we would have had to make a hole anyways. So it worked out pretty well for us then. Basically all I'm doing is just trying to clean up the surrounding parts a little bit. And I'm going to drop it in the ultrasound for a little bit. And then we're probably going to have to come back and polish it here at the bench here. But yeah, that sucker is solid. Yes sir. Alright, let's go drop this in the ultrasound real quick, and then we'll come back and polish this up a little bit. We'll be right back. Alright guys, we're back with that rosary. So we got it fairly clean. You can see we still need to do some polishing on it for sure. But for the most part, hold on, I gotta switch my thing out real quick here. I was gonna polish it, but there's a little more smoothing out I need to do here. A little more smoothing out we gotta do. This is a very delicate piece. Very delicate. And you see how, reason we're not going to put this on the buffer, you see how thin these links are? They're very thin at the ends too. One good tug and these things will come apart. So you have to be very careful, especially on these rosaries like this, because they will pop on you in a hurry. Personally, I'm not a big fan of these type of chains just because they're really easy to break. This is something you only want to really wear on special occasions if you can. I don't really recommend wearing it all the time, but I mean, if you do, you just got to be very careful with it because it'd be very easy to break. Very easy. Alright, let me switch wheels here and see if we can't start polishing this thing, make it look like brand new. Now, like I said, we're going to use a wheel here at the bench. We're not going to put it at the buffer. And for that reason, I've got to go get my rouge real quick from the buffer. So let's go do that real fast here. All right. I'll get you guys zoomed back in here. Okay. All right, let's start polishing this bad boy. Now you will see me go off camera just a little bit. My tool, that's just me putting more rouge on the wheel. So we gotta be very careful. And you want to be very careful you don't get this caught in the chain, because the necklace will get wrapped up in this and will tear it up. So you got to be very careful, especially when you're dealing with a fine chain like this. Sorry, just getting some more rouge on the wheel there. Now I might take this over to the buffer just to buff this part and this part, but I don't want to do this from here up. But I think we're going to do the buffer here and here so we can do the cross. But I wanted to do the wheel to kind of get some of the tighter spots that the buffer can't get. But let's go see. Let's head over to the buffer over here. Let's get some power first. All right. Now, like I said, we don't want to touch this part. We're just doing here and here. Just very lightly. We don't want to put a lot of pressure on this because this is a very delicate piece. Super delicate. And you want to be very careful with the edges of this cross, because these edges can get caught up in the buffer. You just want to be very mindful of that. You can see it's starting to come into shape now. Starting to look pretty darn good. Alright, so we look like we're looking pretty good here. Only thing is, we're gonna have to go back to the desk real quick, because there's just one little area I need to do with the wheel. So let's come back here to the desk. There's one area, It's this link right here. That link, I really hate to hit it with anything, but we got to do what we got to do. So we're going to be just very light and gentle with it. Okay. Now with these rosaries, we got it hanging the best we can. Unfortunately, with these rosaries, they'll swing around back and forth. So you can't always get it perfect. We just want to make sure that we are as straight as we possibly can be. Oh, I see. Okay. No wonder why. Alright. Let's try that again. Yeah, see, these links are so fragile. So fragile. So let's clean this link up, and then we're gonna have to adjust it a little bit. These links are so fragile because they'll twist and they'll turn, they'll bend on you. It's crazy. Not a bit, like I said, I'm not a big fan of rosaries, but I'm not a big fan of setting fires to anything that's a cross or Jesus anyway. Let me zoom you guys back in here. Alright, let me zoom you guys out for a second here. Yeah, them links are just a piece of shit is what they are. Yeah, these links are just terrible. I hate these kind of links. They're like paper thin, they bend real easy. So what we have to do, because we had that straight, but they've moved and readjusted. So what we're having to do now is we got to readjust the links to where this charm will sit straight like it's supposed to. See, it was sitting straight, now it's sitting sideways. See that? See, it's not sitting the way it should. So we need to figure out okay, so we got to bend that back. And that's why I said you got to be very careful with these things, because these things are super delicate. And we still look like we are. Let's give it a second to settle in there. Still looks like we're not quite straight. Alright. Sorry guys, I'm sitting here just doing some brainstorming. Just trying to get it to where it'll sit straight again, like it's supposed to. Because we did have it straight, but now it's, I think from us buffing, it's turned the links around a little bit. Let's see what that does. Alright, let's go back out here like this. Yeah, she's still wanting to turn sideways on us. That's okay, we'll get it straight. We just got to get one of these links. It's still not. Still not 100% straight. We're getting there though. But what it is these links, especially on the bottom here, they're very fragile, and they will twist and turn very easily. That's why I said these aren't necklaces you really want to wear all the time, just because they're so fragile. So let's let her sit there for just a second. Sorry, I'm just adjusting these links because I want it to be straight how it was. I mean, it really doesn't matter because when it's laying on the thing, it'll lay like that. But still, when it's hanging, you'd like for it to be straight. Preferably. Like I said, these rosaries are very delicate. Very, very delicate. Alright, let's hold it up. Sorry guys, this is the boring part here. But we're just trying to, we want to make sure it's straight. So let me hold it from there. Alright, that looks like that is going to be the straightest we get it. Maybe just a little bit more. Sorry guys, I'm a perfectionist when it comes to this kind of stuff, especially on delicate things like this. I am a definite perfectionist. Let's take a look at it again. Let's see how she's going to sit. That is pretty straight. That is as straight as it's going to get. See, we don't have it turning sideways anymore like it was. And I think that just comes from us buffing on it. But alright, one little spot I want to try to polish here, if I can. Now, like I said, it's got them holes in there, but we're not going to try to fill that, because if we do, this ball will collapse or disappear, one or the other. Now I'm going to go over to the buffer one more time here. Sorry, we're doing a lot of back and forth on this particular piece. Yeah, that looks pretty darn good. Alrighty, I'm going to drop this into ultrasound, guys, and then we'll come back and look at the finished product. Alright guys, we're back with that rosary. As you can see, we got it all cleaned and polished now. Looks real nice. This is where we put it together at. And we were able to keep from caving or melt the ball, which was a good thing. But you can see we got that nice and sparkling, looks shiny. It's a nice piece. The only issue I have with it, though, like I said, is that it's just, let me zoom out here. Like I said, the only issue I have with it is just that it's very delicate. So it could be very easy to break, you know, but that's just a risk you have to take, I guess. It's a nice piece of this, a beautiful rosary. But if you would like and subscribe, that would be fantastic. If you'd like for me to do your repairs, you can visit my Etsy shop. The link for that will be down in the description. And if you would like to help donate to the channel, you can, but it's not required. I appreciate you guys watching. And this was definitely a delicate piece to work on here, but we got it all fixed and taken care of. Zoom in there. But yeah, if you'd like and subscribe, hit the notification, that'd be fantastic. This way you don't miss any of my videos. And this is the Gangster Jeweler, guys. I'll see you on the next one.